Hello, everyone. My name is Ron Oliver. I'm the CEO and founder of Elite Dynamic Life. Today, I have a very special guest, Monte Barrett, heavyweight champion. He has an incredible record. If you look it up, he had 48 professional fights, 20 knockouts, 15 by decision, 35 wins in total, an amazing record. Prior to that, he had 40 amateur fights with an amazing record of 37-3. And all that was done in 2 years. So without further ado, thank you for showing up today, brother. I really am honored to have you here. And I'm sure the world is going to love hearing your amazing stories of your life in boxing and being a champion. Not just in the ring, but of life.
Exactly. And I appreciate you for having me, brother. And it's a blessing. You and I have been doing a lot of building and talking about life. And it's a lot of things that, we come in common with. And one of the things that brought us together was boxing. Boxing is a really a great sport and it's done a lot for me in my life. Through the experience, it was like amazing going the places I've gone and doing the things I've done in a short period of time. I thought I was going to, have my own business doing construction. I thought that was going to be my bread and butter, but God seemed fit for me to do something else, and I did it really well.
Yeah, you certainly did. It's amazing. I love watching your fights.
Well, I'm the hood Rocky. I'm the
That's
hood
for
Rocky.
sure. Well, and you're a Hall of
And
Famer too. That was in
yes, yes, yes,
2019.
yes, yes, and I'm grateful for that more than anything because all the hard work paid off, all the punches, everything that happened in my life. Like, okay, this was worth it. This is reward that nobody could take ever from me because it's down in the history books, and I am
Yes.
so grateful to be able to have my faculties and be able to have a conversation with you, and you understand me. I'll be talking like you because but I'm
Yeah.
grateful. I am so grateful of who I am and who I'm becoming because in my life, it's not what I've done, is what I'm going to do. What I'm doing is I'm making a difference. I'm going to I'm making a difference now, but what I'm about to do in this community, St. George in South Carolina, we're about to put St. George on the map
Wow.
with my nonprofit, House of Champions.
That is awesome. So, do you want to tell the world a little bit about what your life was like and then tell us some amazing boxing stories?
Sure, sure. So I'll tell you, I grew up in Southside Jamaica, Queens, in the projects. It was a tight community and everybody was cool. But I did a lot of fighting and I grew myself for boxing because you can teach anybody how to box, but you can't teach them to have heart. And I had a lot of heart. Actually, I had too much heart for boxing because I took a lot of punishment that I shouldn't have taken. But that was just me, and I was emotional. I was an emotional kid growing up. In boxing, you can't be emotional because you will not be as productive in your experience as far as doing the right thing because your emotions always takes over. I would say it's great upbringing because I didn't know anything else, right? So for me, it was good coming up in the hood, and I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of things I should have been doing. But God, He kept over me, protected me. I've been anointed since I was a kid. I didn't know what that was at that time, but I would say in 2000, I gave my life to Christ, and it wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying? Because God protects fools and babies. Now that I'm in Christ, I'm not a fool no more, and I'm not a baby. So now I had to reap what I sow, and I wasn't sowing that many good seeds in a spiritual light, maybe in a physical light, but yet and still I had to find out, and I always knew that someday I was going to do what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life would be a dream job, and this is what I always wanted to do. So when I was younger, my mother, from the age of 5 to 16, not every summer, but the majority of the summers, she let me go stay with my grandparents, and that show brought me foundation and basic fundamentals about how to be a kid, not grow up too fast, and about church and a routine. I went to the Boys and Girls Club during the week. Saturday, I will go to the Else Club. Sunday, I will go to church. But that gave me a routine, and just like boxing is a routine. You keep doing things over and over, and it becomes like second nature. So, I'm taking all of these great experiences that I've had and I'm putting it into what I'm doing now. One of my favorite stories is I was in a contract dispute with my promoter at the time. So I didn't fight for like 2.5 years. And I got back with Stan Hoffman, who Stan was like a father figure to me, a great man. God bless his soul. He was an amazing man. He was Jewish and I was Christian, and I call him Poppy to this day. He was a great person to me, the best manager I've ever had. So Stan got me a fight, and the fight Eric Kirkland, my first fight back, and I fight Eric Kirkland, and I go in there, and Eric Kirkland's talking so much junk, like he gonna kick my butt, he gonna do this, he gonna do that, and I was like, okay, he's younger than me, he da da da. I got in there, and I was like, I'm gonna tear this guy up. The first punch he hit me with, he bust my lip open, and I was ready to quit. I was like, yo, I said, I'm going for almost 3 years. I was like, I ain't spit for this no more. I'm like, I'm finding somewhere to take a dive. He was just beating me from post to post. And I just, and this is called the resilience of boxing, right? And that spirit you have, that fighting spirit within you. And I just kept on, I'm fighting, but I'm not really going all the way. And he talking junk to me, and he beat me from post to post. And I said, man, this guy, I'm trying to lay down. And then I just got fed up with it, and I knocked him out. I think it was 11th or 12th round. But that was the resilience of me. Like, I was ready to quit. The very first punch he hit me, he bust my whole mouth wide open. And I was ready to quit. I was like, man, I ain't doing this crap no more. But, it's just the resilience. You know what I'm saying? I had to find myself. I had to, it was an experience. And sometimes you got to
Absolutely.
have a gut check with yourself. Like, and this is in life. Like, so I had to have a gut check, and I was processing everything as all these rounds went, because 3 minutes is a long, long time to be getting beat up and trying to figure out what's next. But
Absolutely.
that was like one of my heroic stories. But I wound up getting a fight with Joe Messi next. I fought three heavyweights that were undefeated: 24-0, 28-0, 24-0, and 28-0. So I fought Joe Messi, Dominic Gwynn, and Owen Beck all back to back to back. I won against Joe Messi, but they called it, they gave it to him in favor. But HBO brought me back, and I wound up fighting on HBO 11 times, you know, throughout my career, which was great.
That's amazing. That must have been
Yes.
intense fighting three champions that were undefeated in a row.
Yeah, well, the Owen Beck one was the most challenging because Don King, he gave me 4 weeks to prepare for the fight. And I was like, 4 weeks? Like he waited to the very end, as he always do. I was training like a slave. I mean, I came in the camp running 3, 4 miles, and by the end of the camp, we was running 7, 8 miles, like 3, 4 times a week. I had a trainer named Blimp at the time, and he had put me through it. We had two undefeated fighters. I think it was Malik Scott and Eddie Chambers, and I was going through the task because those guys were busting me down, but I was getting stronger and stronger, and I knew that I was going to be ready for the fight. And you see, and I knew one thing I knew is that I was off for like 9 months or something like that, or 10 months, and I knew Owen Beck was fighting a lot, like he was fighting every 2 months or whatever. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to learn how to fight inside, because I said if I fight far, he's going to take me apart because his timing is much better than mine. So what we did was Blimp didn't like it, but I said, yo, I got to fight inside. He was like, bro, your jab is good. I was like, nah, bro. I said, the guy, I'm looking at his fights. So I fought the whole training camp inside. And as you can see, even though I got cut with Owen Beck, I fought the whole fight inside, and I wore him down because he was
Yes.
much quicker and he had better timing than me from the outside. But I wore him down fighting inside and smothering his punches.
Yeah, that was an absolute epic battle. That was
Yeah,
an
it was.
amazing fight. That one is going to go down in the history books for one of the greatest heavyweight fights, in my opinion. It
You
was
know
it
what?
was
To be honest with
amazing.
you, I thought that we was gonna get fighter. I thought we would get fighter of the year into Diego Corrales had fought this Mexican guy, and remember he stopped him. I said, but that topped everything, you know what I'm saying? Because it was a different level. But if that fight wouldn't happen, me and Owen Beck definitely got fighter of the year.
I'm sure. It's an awesome fight.
Yeah.
Can you just give people a rundown of what it is like the day in the life of a professional fighter going to training camp from morning till the end of the day? Most people don't realize really what you guys all go through. Can you share that a little bit with everybody?
Well, so basically, when I go to training camp, whether it's 7 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is, those guys that you with, those 5 to 10 guys, you gel with them and they become your family. And you do everything repetitiously over and over and over again till it becomes like walking, like, waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth, you just automatically do it. So, but you form a bond, even with your guys that you're going to fight, you form a bond with those guys. It's a lot of work and it details a lot of hard work, dedication, and discipline. And a lot of times you don't want to get up and you don't want to do a certain thing, but you got to do it, and then it just becomes automatic. But I think, like, for me, I took my experience from training camp was for me it was more so bonding, right? And challenging myself to go to another level. And I used to give my sparring partner and say, listen, if you can drop me or knock me out, I'll give you more money. Because a lot of time a sparring partner mentality is to take it easy because that's how he make his money. But I was like, nah. I kept undefeated guys. I had Eddie Chambers in there giving me great work. Malik Scott. I had the Polish guy. Forgot his name. The big guy. He's from Brooklyn. I had who else? I had like a lot of guys, a young talent that was really pushing me to the limit. And I wanted to have a hard training camp because if I had a hard training camp, the fight would be easy. You know what
That
I'm
makes
saying?
sense.
And I was a warrior. Yeah, the fight would be much easier when you have a hard training camp. And most of the fights that I lost, going back to the emotional part, I lost on the emotions because I got wrapped up in the hype. Because you can't get lost in the hype. All the lights and camera and action on you. And one thing a lot of people don't understand about boxers and about boxing is that when you step in that ring, in a boxing ring, in front of millions of people, as a man, this is one of the most open, vulnerable places that we have to be. You know why? Because somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose, and we're willing, not thinking, but honestly, when I think about it, I'm putting everything on the line, and I'm being judged by my performance. So you got to be very confident, and you got to know that you're being very vulnerable when you're exposing yourself. But it's a sport, and I look at that like a sport, and I take a lot of great qualities from it, and I focus on the cup half full instead of half empty when I think about boxing and what it has done for me in my life.
Well, you must have learned a ton about discipline and determination.
Yeah, because even to this day, I'm 53 and I run for 50 miles a month, and I work out 4 to 5 times, for around 4 or 5 times a week. But and that's because the discipline. Before boxing, I was in sports. I was playing high school football, and I went to college for a year and a half. So it's just the discipline of sports. But boxing is a whole nother level of discipline because you have to really, really settle down because you got to think you can't play boxing like you can play basketball and football and baseball. Boxing is a sport where you can get hurt. You got to be on point like a decimal.
Absolutely. Well, somebody's trying to take your head off, and they know how to hit.
Right.
Heavyweights can hit real hard.
Yeah. You know what? It's so crazy. Layman Brewster is a really like me. People tell me I'm heavy-handed. I didn't know what it was until I sparred with Layman Brewster, and I realized he had heavy hands in training camp. Vladimir Klitschko, heavy hands. Um, Nikola Valuev, as big as he was, 7'2", 340 pounds, he wasn't even a heavy puncher, but he was punching down, but he used his body weight, but he wasn't a big puncher. But he punched down on you, so he had more of an impact. I fought David Tua heavy-handed. Like some guys are just heavy-handed, and David Tua is like one of my toughest fights emotionally, or no, not emotionally, physically. Known, I just watched David Tua, and I watched another guy, James Thunder, Lights Out Thunder, Jimmy
Yeah.
Thunder from Down Under. Remember him?
Yeah.
I fought Jimmy Thunder. And he had the fastest knockout in heavyweight history. He knocked the guy out like in 10 seconds, and I had to fight him next.
Oh,
But that was a right. I'm watching him knock this guy out in 10 seconds. I'm like, what? But the good thing is that I was motivated because he had my trainer, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. And I was like, all right, so let me let Eddie know that he went with the wrong guy. So I was motivated from that. Eddie
oh
got me
yeah.
motivated. Yeah, but Eddie's my guy. I love him. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, David Tua was like, He was a big puncher. And you know who's the smartest fighter I've ever fought? David Haye.
David Hay.
This
Wow.
guy is a genius. You know, he's a genius outside the ring and inside the ring. He had me so discombobulated from the way he treated me that by the time I got to the fight, and I heard he does this with everybody under his promotion because he's the main promoter. I was supposed to have a certain flight detail, first class. I was in business. That was all right. That's cool. I get to the airport. I didn't have nobody to pick me up there. I had to spend like $300 for a cab, and it was like a long time. We get to the hotel. We're supposed to be in this beautiful hotel. We in a little Days Inn hotel. He had me. I was like, he gonna treat me like this?
Oh man.
And then we had the train. We had the train. He didn't have nowhere for me. They put that set training up for me. I was training some hole in the wall place, and it was one of his guys' plays. I was effed up in the head. Like I was so irritated by him. I was like, I'm gonna kill this guy. This guy gonna treat me like this? And he won the fight before he even got in the ring because I was
Wow.
so emotional and not realizing it was a decoy to get me to get out of whack,
Oh
and it
yeah.
worked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I bust my ass trying to jump in the ring like I thought I was Prince Nassim, and I was Prince Nassim, all right. I was Nassim on the floor, and then I thought when I knocked him, when I hit him, because the ref was allowing him to hit me on the break and everything. I hit him, and I knocked him out, and they let him get back. And then as soon as I took a knee, because I kept getting up, he wasn't a big puncher. Every time I got up, and the referee just stopped it all. I was like, all right, whatever, it is what it is. But like I said, he was a great strategist, and I got a lot of respect for David.
Wow, he's using some good mind games on you before the fight.
Yes, yeah, he did. He showed, and on top of that, he had his cousin. His cousin was interviewing me, and his cousin would be trying to. And I didn't know they wrote a book about it, and I read it in a book. And everybody said, "Yo, David Hay was in your camp, finding out your game plan." So he was speaking. Me, you know how reporters are. They get cool with you. Like, so what is your game plan? And I wasn't. I was like, I was telling them a little bit, but it didn't care what my game plan was because David Hay threw me off for everything when I got to London, he treated me like crap. And I was so pissed off and I didn't have nobody there. Like I just went with me and my trainer. And at the
Okay.
time I had Greg Leone managing me and he couldn't come with me at that time. So I was out there.
Wow, that's quite a story. So, what are
Yes.
you doing today? What's new in your life?
Well, what's new in my life is that I moved to South Carolina. I live in Boston. I live in South Carolina. In South Carolina, my wife and I bought a building and we're building a gym. I have a nonprofit called House of Champions. Also have it's the website is housesofchampions.com, and it's about the helping kids and combining kids with education and sports and helping them live a better life and become champions inside the ring, inside class, and in their community and life. So, we're gonna put that to play. Hopefully by August, the gym will be open and we can start the after school workshops for helping these kids in this community in St. George, South Carolina. I feel like, it's a lot of trauma that kids are dealing with that they don't know where to put it and how to deal with it because I'm talking from firsthand. But the most important thing I've learned is you're only as good as your support system. So if you have a great support system, you'll be a great person in life. Just somebody behind you and pushing you forward and helping you instead of yelling at you or telling you what you're not doing, but somebody who's there, and I'm that person. So I'm looking forward to everything that's going to happen because God put all of this together. My wife and I have no kids. Me and I have a crazy love story. We dated when we were teenagers, and we stopped talking in our 20s, our mid 20s, and we haven't seen each other in 23 years or spoken in 23 years. And we started speaking, and we got married 6 months later. She's a wonderful person. Her name is Tracy Jones Barrett. She's a graduate from Harvard, and she's a deputy at MIT. And she's in tune with life, and she's a very functional person, very smart. It's like the Beauty and the Beast. But she's a great person. And then I have 7 kids. I have 7 plus 1, so I got my stepson is my son. His name is Amani. So I got 7 kids in Amani, and also I have a granddaughter named Tori, and they're all grown besides my two. So Gabrielle is 9, she's the last of the Mohegans, and Zoe's 15. So those,
Wow.
but everybody else is grown. Yeah.
That must be wild having that many kids. How do you handle it?
Well, sometimes half of them ain't talking to me, so I just deal with it. But I understand that, and this is so crazy because when I think about life, and I say to myself that this is where trauma comes in. Like my mother, she didn't know any better. She had me at a young age, right? We give our kids trauma, whether we want to accept it or believe it, we do, right?
Yes.
And then the world gives them trauma by their friends and the peer pressure that they're under. But so I'm praying, and like we talked earlier, if I'm trusting God in one part of my life, I'm trusting Him in every part of my life. So I
Absolutely.
know that God has a season and a reason for everything that happens, and I'm looking forward to when I can reunite with all my kids and we could all be in one happy family and be on the same page.
That's awesome, man. You have an amazing story. So,
Thank
can
you,
you
thank
tell
you.
us what type of stress and abuse do your bodies go through in a training camp, sparring, and then in the fight? Like, what's that like as far as, damaging to the body and the brain?
Well, a lot of people don't understand the majority of fighters in their fights are never 100% all together because most of the fighters who champions and people who are top contenders have went to different levels, right? So what happened is that you always injure yourself. I every fight I went to, it was something wrong with me, whether it was my toe or my arm or my eye. It's always something wrong with you, but you gotta suck it up. And we take our body through a very tough regimen of training, of discipline, of obedience. And obedience is taking punishment. It's a lot of, we take a lot of punishment inside the gym. You know what I'm saying? And it's when you say punishment, it meaning that just, you're tearing your body apart to rebuild it again. So it's a lot of that. And boxing is a very, physical sport. So it's just like football. Practice every day. You practice every day. Contact, contact, contact. It does a lot. It causes a lot of injury. A lot of times people get more injured in training than they do to fight. But it's a lot. But to be a boxer, you got to be extraordinary special person. And I'm not talking about special ed. I'm talking about you got to be a special person where you can really have, you got that resilience and that wit that you can withstand the stuff that we go through.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what comments do you have? What would you like to share with the young men of the world, up and coming boxers, or just regular men, as to your best advice to help them become courageous, believe in themselves, so they can achieve their goals?
Well, don't give up. If just keep pushing forward. And Mike Tyson said a great quote. He said, "You can't lose until you quit. So don't quit. Don't quit on yourself. Because if I learned in my life, if you don't believe in yourself, who's still gonna believe in you? The way you treat yourself, the way you are, and stay balanced and stay well rounded. You know what I'm saying? And like with me, I can go into Goldman Sachs and talk to the president, and I could go into the hood and talk to my guys that I grew up with, right? And that's a part of me. God gave me a gift of communicating, right? I'm a great communicator in life. I think I've done actually well, and the best is yet to come with me. So learn how to communicate, learn how to treat people the way you want to be treated. That's a golden rule. And a lot of people, I'm a lot of people who are selfish in life. A lot of people drink from a cup half empty. I drink from my cup half full. What I mean by that is that you have some people who go into something in doubt, like, "Oh, that ain't gonna happen," and then when it doesn't happen, I told you it wasn't gonna happen. Of course, because you wished it wouldn't happen, and the universe heard you. Me, I'll go and be like, "Yo, this is gonna work. I'm guaranteed this is gonna work." And if it doesn't work, I'll be like, "You know what? I'm gonna get back at it again, and I'm gonna see where I can make some changes, and it's gonna work. And I'm gonna keep on going until it works. If it's God will it be done, it will be done." Right? And whatever's for you will never miss you. God has an anointing over everybody's lives. And I do understand, I got some people who have really great stories in life, and it's two things that hold them back. One, they don't know how to tell their story, and two, they're scared to tell their story, right? So those two things hold a lot of people back because they don't know how to embrace the pain. You turn that pain into progress. You have it work for you. You know what I'm saying? Everything. I'm a champion. I'm a champion in my life. The first thing that makes me a champion, not boxing, but God. The way God renewed me, restored me, He redeems me. That's it. I mean, and a lot of kids and a lot of young adults don't know who God is at this point on a personal level. But until they start to get older, like I came to Christ in 2000 on my own. I used to go to church here and there with my family, nothing major. But when I got into Christ on my own, that's when the work started. And you know what? I'm 53. That was like in 2000. That was 24 years ago. I'm still working at it, and I'm still doing my job, and I'm still doing better. But I went from starting one day at a time, and uh, that's why I take it one day at a time. Now I'm 10 years in, and God sees the work. Nobody else got to see it, but God sees. He sees my prayer life. He sees my study life. He sees me and him building relationships with communication, and I see what he's doing to me, for me, and in me. And I'm the proof in the pudding.
That's awesome. Awesome words of wisdom, brother. Thank you so much. Is there
Yes,
anything else
sir.
you want to share before we wrap it up?
Now, listen, I thank all the boxing fans and the boxing community for embracing boxing. I mean, it's a wonderful sport. And if you're gonna get involved, the best advice I could give you is believe in yourself and put your all into it. And if you can do that, you'll be successful on the level that you were successful on. And you'll do great. And another thing, like with the fans, I know a lot of fans, of boxing fans, you got some really downright boxing fans. And then you got some guys who are fadeaway fans. But you know what? But at the end of the day, I'm not for everybody, right? And I understand that boxing ain't for everybody. But I embrace the fans. That's why I've done a lot of interviews because I like the feedback. I like for fans to hear the other side of a boxer because we are people who have emotions, and we are people who go through things, everyday things, just like you. I pay my bills just like you pay your bills, and we have our own struggles and we have our own blessings. You know what I'm saying? But at the end, it's all lessons. It's lessons to mature us and get us better and be better people in life. And just try to be the best person you can for your community, whatever that is.
That's an awesome, awesome message. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming out today and sharing your awesome stories. It's a great interview. I'm sure it's going to inspire countless people. Thanks again, brother.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for everything. And keep on going, man. The best is yet to come with you and your podcast.